Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today I have a special project. I want to look at the Barbie saga along with AirrickDebunks sort of mess out there on various media properties. Today I have Tiamat, is how you pronounce it?
Tiamat.
3, 2, 1.
Hello, hello, hello for this completely sort of unplanned stream. I wasn't going to stream today, but made a video earlier.
Did you ever know? I'm going to give you the heads up notice. Airrick goes, this is unplanned. Not to tell people secrets, or at least the observation that we notice. This is for your own sake to advance it. When you're dealing with a liar, a known liar, Airrick goes, this is I'm going to be live. Do you think it's genuine, if I asked you? Because they all plan this stuff out. It's either planned or unplanned. It's like Dane was not going to do a stream the other day. But apparently they all planned like 3 streams together. Then have the contradictory point of...
Well, I think the Barbie marketing surprised a lot of people.
Why did they? But I agree. He's covering Barbie because... I say this because he goes it's unplanned, but he's trying to strike why the fire is hot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He does not want a beat to go unannounced without him sort of spamming his sort of correction of the misinfo all these people are letting out. And I can sort of agree. I don't agree with everyone's assessment on Barbie, but his assertion of it, of what people are talking about in general, and especially for this movie, is a... Let's
put it this way. I've seen takes from both sides, and me and some others might actually have a video response of the other. But I've also seen some really bad face takes that cherry pick parts of the film and ignore the more interesting parts.
Oh, I completely agree. I think this movie's just constructed in such a way it's almost a Rorschach test. Yeah, there are some messaging in there, I believe, but I think there's a lot of fluff to sort of get through in this movie.
That's a good way to put it. A Rorschach test is good. If you are liberal, you're going to see certain things. If you are conservative leaning, you are going to see things the other way. I have found a way to see not a middle path, but some parts of the film I will say are, as a person who has seen both films, if you're going to cherry pick, it's politely putting. A lot of people are cherry picking. Some sides are telling the whole truth, and it's a subjective I might bring up, but it's easy to say it as a giant Rorschach test of if you believe one side, you don't see the other, and then maybe you blindly ignore the elephant in the room. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that assessment. We might even disagree on some of those details, but
I agree.
That's the difference between our little circle of people and this little circle of people in the Fandom Initiative.
Yes, that's why I said I actually enjoyed both. I can't say I enjoyed Barbie. I walked in there expecting it to be far worse than I just walked out meh, with a little bit of cringe. Oppenheimer, the problem with it is a 3-hour film, and I politely say it's hard. It's one of those thinking films. You don't want to miss a minute of it.
And it's hard to just sit down for 3 minutes, especially at the movie theater with your popcorn and big ass.
I agree. I agree. It's one of those things of I'll be curious. Well, let's say both films are original films, and it's one of the largest box office openings for original picks.
Oh, I will agree. I mean, no matter what you feel about either movie, they're both coming out at an interesting time. That's definitely... I've seen many videos on this because I like to do my research.
Yeah, agree.
Let's see how badly Airrick debunks does. I know you're trying to avoid it. I wish I could avoid it also, but that's what we're here for. They hate everything. Let's see who he's talking about here.
And then my software crashed, and it made me really upset. It's like, I'm going to stream. I'll watch some clips, maybe read some articles.
A few moments later.
Hey, what's up, Hero's Journey? How are you doing? I don't know if I'm going to leave this stream live or if I'm going to take it down and chop it up later. We'll see. But yeah.
Oh, he knows all about chopping things up with promoting the trans agenda. Sorry, had to throw that joke in there.
Really? I thought you were going to make the joke. The famous editing software likes to eat things.
Oh, I don't go that low. Yes.
The perils of doing things, and as people know, especially now if you get behind. I kind of feel sorry on him for that. I mean, I'm sure everyone loses data.
I had a video that I made based on some
clips from TikTok. I know, shocking. It was something new that I was doing. I was having a lot of fun editing it, right? I was literally the end of it. I was at the end of making the video.
A few minutes later.
What we're going to do today is I'm going to, I've got a couple videos lined up I'm going to look at about the Marvels. And then we're going to take a look at a video about Tanya from Mortal Kombat. And if we have enough time, because I'm going to cap this off in an hour. So we'll see if I can get all of it done within an hour, because I really have stuff to do later on. So anyway.
Spoiler warning, without joking.
What's up, Roy? How you doing?
Usually when a streamer, especially Dane or them, say, I only meant to stay 2 hours or an hour, it usually winds up going longer without looking at the thing.
Yeah, I meant to the Fandom Initiative really look at the videos very much. From what I saw in this video, at least he looked at the video a little bit more.
He actually tries longer, but no, I say but it's like all streaming. We plan on an hour, then we never know what happens.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I ended up my art of criticism ended up running 5 hours, and I didn't even know how that happened. But
and you don't want to put that up, or you can't. It's weird putting stuff like that up because I've heard theories on YouTube about when you get long form content versus other.
Yeah, some people want to maximize for their analytics and all this watch time.
But it's also YouTube eats videos, or sometimes yeets videos after 5 hours. You never know what YouTube actually does. Sometimes it likes long, but yeah, that's
the algorithm is constantly changing, so it's really hard to say what works. And
no, but I mean YouTube's back end will be really funny if you make a video too long.
Yeah, sometimes.
And live stream, but it's mostly live streams. The perils we live with, you know.
Yeah, creating content, you lose data. I do feel for him losing all that. I have no clue what any of that's about, but you know, I've had that happen to me before, so I can sympathize with that.
Yes, I agree.
But let's see if he gets into the actual meat or if it's all this fluff. I mean, you need a little bit of fluff, a little bit of personality to bring people in, but too much, you'll lose people.
Barbie is killing it, you guys. Barbie is absolutely crushing it at the box office. Let's see where they're at right now. Box office mojo. Barbie is at, this isn't caught up yet. I believe it passed 400 million worldwide today. That's
praise be to the Barbie. It beat the Oppenheimer, the bomb nuclear drop. Yeah, I think he keeps on doing this. If I recognize it clearly, that he keeps on talking about the numbers, the metrics.
He's been, well, let's be clear. A little background. If I asked you this personally, both films had a lot of marketing. One could argue one film is more bait and switch than the other. But both films were very highly marketed. And it's a film, and I can speak for myself, and maybe others as well, on Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer's one of those films you go into it knowing it's a 2-hour plus biopic. And it's doing really well for the biopic spot. But
also Christopher Nolan, who has a really good reputation.
At least, yes. This isn't Bethesda that you make one bad game and tank your entire company.
There's a certain logic to that, but
it's not like but seriously, it is a good film, but it's long. Barbie's 2 hours and semi-enjoyable.
It's from an indie director and writer who typically aren't in the big leagues of some awards for Lady Bird, I believe.
What's funny is I've only ever heard of her from some films. I really didn't know who she was prior.
Neither did I. She was like one of these indie darlings.
Or an actress, right?
Actress. Also married. Her co-writer, I believe, is her partner. She said in a couple of interviews. Seems likely. Definitely comes from the sort of what's his name? Why am I forgetting it right now? Royal Tenenbaums. Okay, I can't remember right now. He did a Life Aquatic with. I'm blanking on sort of
It's okay.
Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson. He comes from a very Wes Anderson style. The other guy, who I can't remember his name, the co-writer with Greta.
Yeah.
Okay, but he's talking about numbers here. I'm glad he's happy about the box office success. It probably is going to fall off a little bit, but how much? That's a good question.
See, that's the thing. I will say on Barbie, let's be generous here, Vincent. It's not the Flash, and we can probably get into it later if I have to contradict his points on certain parts. It is an enjoyable film. Is it a film some people would watch again? Maybe. And its sales are very good. It's an easy, watchable film. That's why it's doing well. It also had a boatload of marketing that we can't agree with.
Mhm.
I mean, despite the rocky start of the marketing, when you didn't hear about it for like 3 or 6 months, there's a little period you weren't very certain about it.
Yes.
Now, Oppenheimer had the same marketing, but it's mostly being marketed on Nolan. So, but then again, there's 2 different audiences. One's a palate cleanser.
It's
See
quite
what
an
air-
interesting pairing.
I can look up the sales as of today, but it is pretty good. It is.
Well, I think Barbie has rewatchability, but that just from my perspective as someone who's in theater and has a lot of college courses on film, which I will admit a lot of my interest and fascination with Barbie just comes from that angle and just Gretcha just being a total nerd about film because she definitely is. Story wise, different story there.
That's wild to me. But they've got this idea that the Barbie movie is woke and has like all these agendas and stuff. And literally that comes from people who haven't seen the movie, obviously. Or they saw the movie and they went in already deciding they were going to dislike it and walked out of the movie still being mad about it.
Okay, I don't know how he comes to that conclusion. And I just wanted to point out obviously, this is a gay article out. I'm assuming I don't know anything about this article, this website out, but out and proud. I'm assuming it's a gay
They
website.
are, I will say, the sources they usually cite are cherry pick sites. Like, they don't want to, not politely put, they'll think it's not a valid website or something.
Of course.
And
You know, oh, you
I-
got that from blah, blah, blah. You know, they
Oh.
associate with blah, blah, blah.
yes, and they usually use sites like, but I usually check it because last I saw, Barbie was doing really well. Like, it was tracked to be one of the best performing summer movies of pretty much all time. Not like the huge chart or graph of like an in game or something.
Hard to beat Endgame or those big upcoming hits. To be fair,
But
it's
I
the
will
market-
say they have strange criticism. And this is not where I want to pick apart his argument. And I've seen him make this argument and others make this argument as well. They are mad. I don't think that's what I saw in the initial coverage. I saw it was more of a disappointment. The first video I ever saw of it, and this is actually funny, it beats the algorithm, was our Australia friends. I saw it on Night's Watch first, came across my feed. He didn't say it was. He said there was an agenda possibly in it, messaging. But let's be clear here. I don't think it was bait and switch, right? That was the first one, but then there were others. What about the ones prior? This is why I ask. This is why I think their narrative is off. Vincent, tell me if I'm wrong. When the goddess Grace Randolph says it's super feminist, what's your opinion?
I don't just trust anyone.
Well,
I don't trust a lot of people's judgment on this movie, but I'm one of these Adam and Stitch fans, and I listened to
Yes.
them before I went in, and I really think they're off.
Well, when I
So-
say you go through a combination of resources, right? I heard from the director was Margot Robbie was saying something was off, saying it was not an agenda film or had some elements to it. But that, if we want to go into spoilers on the film,
Yeah, probably.
Because
best
I'll have to
avoid
discuss.
big ones.
I will say, like, with the way someone like Airrick is marked, remember we said it's like a Rorschach test. Some
Yep.
people see it as a fun film. Now, when someone like Grace Randolph is like a broken clock and maybe right twice a day, we all know, she Hollywood insiders. I like to refer to her as the female Doomcock.
Oh,
Get the reference?
oh, absolutely. Doomcock is notorious in the industry.
A broken clock can be right twice a day, you know.
Uh,
Grace Randolph is very famous for predictions. But this film, she said, it was super feminist, amongst others. And then a lot of actresses and people on the cast were like, they were clamoring, defend it. Then the director, production had to say, oh, no, it's not. So I'm like, okay. But what's funny is I never said the film was going to bomb. I said it's going to do good for its spot. And it's going to outdo Oppenheimer because, as stated before, one's a long biopic. The other one's a popcorn movie. So if you want to say the marketing, right, is it just they who's unhappy being the opposition? Would I be correct in that assumption? A movie's fresh out, they automatically assume it's success.
yeah, it is a little bit tooting their horn a little bit too early, celebrated. Eh?
And that's why I say, without understanding the minutia, right? Because some could say that Barbie has a slight bait and switch.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why if it has a huge bait and switch, remember the Flash film was very, very good, supposedly.
Oh,
Then
I
it
didn't
had-
watch it.
Then it had
But-
like an 80% drop off or some astronomical, which I'm pretty sure I'm off. But let's be hyperbolic, but it dropped into the chasm. I mean, I will admit Flash wasn't bad either. It wasn't good either. Battle scenes were good, but that's a separate. So when someone like Airrick, we'll let him speak, explains why are they mad? Maybe you disagree with the tenets of the film. Maybe not. They see it as entertaining. But then again, if you're like Airrick, DJ Airrick, and Dane and them, they see boogeymen everywhere just because they automatically see the Fandom menace, which is alive and well.
Well, Phantom Menace, despite my disagreements with them, still represent a large majority. I don't even know if it's a majority, but a large section of fans of niche like comic style genre movies. So
Comic style, you could say anything.
yeah,
Because wasn't
Star
it Disney?
Wars? All the
It
big
started with Star Wars. Remember?
I think there was a little bit inkling before then. Let's not even get into
started
Gamergate, but yes, with
No,
the
it started
movies,
around, I think the first time I ever heard Fandom Menace, and it didn't come from Nerderotic.
came from Star Wars. You're absolutely
It came from a tweet from Disney themselves, and people around articles defending the sequels where they called them the Fandom Menace, and then certain YouTubers latched onto it and carried it like a badge of honor.
yes, sort of like Comicsgate also.
Because you got to understand, remember, the original Fandom Menace person was Doomcock, writing that all the way to the bank. Stay angry. And he stopped using it. I think Geeks Plus Gamers started trying it. And that's why I'm like, oh. And then Disney referenced it as it's hard to make films when the Fandom Menace is around. So it's one of those things, a buzzword I think people
Latched on to and made it their own. You know, a lot of people like queer. I think that's something a lot of certain people sort of own nowadays. There's a lot of terminology. A lot of African Americans own the N word. It's their word. It's a common tactic and it's definitely effective. If someone tries to label you a certain thing, you change the meaning of it. You take control of it and you make it your own. So
Or
they
you
can't use it as a weapon against you. I think it's smart tactically, optically, probably even.
when you de-weaponize a word.
Yeah. Something like Phantom Menace is a little bit better at that, I think. I mean, it doesn't have an inherent problem. It has a tie to the Phantom Menace, which has a bad reputation among the Star Wars prequels, but still, it's part of the franchise. It's part of George Lucas. Compares it to Disney's Star Wars.
Well, let's be clear. I will be honest that the idea of fans can vehemently disagree, right, with the various takes. I mean, if you have to bring people into a fandom of any kind, I ask you this, Vincent, as person, it's sometimes recommending it. Like, you're not going to see it. Let's say you have kids. And I mean, I'll be honest, there's a chasm between someone who's maybe 30 and dealing with a 15-year-old and what they like.
Hmm.
They're not going to see the same film. Like,
Nope.
well, you can't use the same thing to bring them to see a film, I should say.
But a lot of the Pixar movies sort of made kids films that had a lot of
Yes.
things for adults in it. You can do two things at once, but you generally go with a primary focus and you have sort of a backup focus. But
Most
for kids films, parents are more likely to take their child to a kids film if they can find some enjoyable element within those kids films.
But old school Pixar and Disney that's a prime example. Those were made for both kids and adults. I think you could agree on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something like A Bug's Life, Toy Story.
Yeah, they had let me think. I always get Bug's Life and a B movie, I think. A B movie was Seinfeld and Bug's Life was that Woody Allen?
Yeah, Woody Allen, yeah.
Okay, yeah, definitely
Woody
going
Allen.
for interest in adult audience with Woody Allen.
Not Woody Allen, but as like with Woody, you had, certainly the bully being tormented at the end of the first one.
No, everyone loves Tom Hanks. He might be coming a little bit more relevant in recent years, but he's getting old.
Now, I can't say the same, but that's why I say Barbie had that appeal. It could appeal to both young and old. That's why.
Yep. Let's see how. Oh, Airrick here. We'll deal with this. I might even speed this up a little bit more. He really isn't getting too much of a point.
That's what I think happened. Because there's no way you saw this movie and thought there was some trans agenda in the movie or some gay agenda in the movie. There's no way you saw the movie and took that away from the film. It's impossible. It is impossible for that. So to go in and see.
Okay, is he going to explain that? I mean, I will agree with him. No trans, no gay agenda in this. Well, there is that sort of one scene. Spoilers are fine here. Okay, minor spoilers. Sort of beach off stuff. A lot of the kin stuff has some homoerotic tones. Wouldn't you agree with that at least?
I'm laughing because, see, this is the thing. The context you miss if you have never seen this. The beach off scene is, that is a little bit more or less. Sometimes you see them with the Barbies, sometimes not. But I think when you see more, it's less as that. It's more the messaging when, like to quote verbatim, Barbie has a great day every day, but Ken only has a good day if Barbie looks at him.
Don't think there's there's gay undertones for comedic appeal.
No one understands besides the niche Barbie references and maybe a trans actor, which they're Barbies. I mean, it has a lot of niche Barbies in there.
Yeah, a lot of it's very geek-tastic from what I know. A lot of people who are like, yeah, my wife had to explain this to me, like this Barbie and that Barbie, because apparently Mitch and was Michael Cera's character called? That was Mitch. No, Mitch was the girl. Alan? I think it was Mitch and Alan. They were obscure things. So it was for the real big Barbie fanatic. There's Easter eggs from what I've seen.
See, I had someone look up, but it's like whoever did the film, I gotta give it credit. They went through the old toy lines. I mean, there is some definitely toy nostalgia there. That would be like someone doing a G.I. Joe movie and pulling out all the old G.I. Joes.
Yeah, I mean, G.I. Joe movies weren't excellently done from what I remember. I mean,
not the original. I think you draw back, like, let's say someone did the old Transformers. That there was a whole bunch of Transformers, just like there's a whole bunch of G.I. Joes.
I mean, this is definitely comparable to Barbie's definitely in some ways comparable to the Transformer movies in a couple of different ways. The sort of factors I hear for the first Transformer movies, they took a pull in on the 10 lines or some amount of lines that fans want to hear Optimus speak in that. It could have just been a rumor, but that's what I hear about the Transformers movie.
No, nothing of that. I kind of blot out half of the Michael Bay Transformers when you just realize they're action films.
Yeah, I think I checked out after the second one, but it was fun the first time. The second time is just like,
If you ignore the butchering, I mean, you have to lose the nostalgia bait with it. I think after a bit, I just could not watch another one.
I will completely agree. I don't think they're going to turn this into a whole series. I don't even see how they could turn Barbie into something like Transformers, but it
No.
does have a similar sort of
No.
feel to it.
But that's why I preference this. They perceive an attack, but we'll let Airrick speak for himself. But there's facts in the film, lines in the film that are highly questionable that I wouldn't have in a film, and how it got a PG-13 rating is beyond me.
Oh, supposedly they were going with a curse word, but they cut it out, I hear. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. Who knows?
We don't know what gets cut, you would think.
And why that would affect the final rating? Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. The explanation is a little weak. But let's see what Eric says.
The movie and then still say these things is a complete lie. It's completely disinformation. I enjoyed Barbie. I get that it's not going to be for everybody. Humor is subjective. Some people are going to be like, it's not my thing. And I'm not trying to convince anybody yet. Like, I'm not trying to convince anybody if they don't want to see it, right? If you do not want to see the movie, don't go see it. But if you're one of those people that's on the fence about it and you're looking for some recommendations, I would say I had a lot of fun watching it.
Fair criticism.
I don't know Hero's Journey. I don't know.
Look, Airrick, well, sometimes double speaking. People who don't know of me, we get to suffer. Occasionally I'm butt of their jokes. I've debated Ed, and unfortunately I
think I was
I watched him like I'm not saying that I do. There was a period that, like all of us, we watched them like an anomaly of this can't be real. But that's actually valid criticism and very good constructive. But if you don't like the film, you don't have to watch it.
That's obvious, though.
That's fine. I will say this. But then there's the whole argument as well. Why are you watching Barbie? Some watch it because they want to see it, and some don't want to be that person or guy who misses out.
Yeah, I was sort of forced to watch it because the discourse is just too tempting. And from what I hear,
It's too
what I
tempting.
hear, it's very filled with references like the 2001 parody at the beginning, or I don't know what to call it, simulation. I'm guessing it's supposed to be a parody of some type, but to define
It's
it,
like
the
the
movie
2000. The senior referencing is it's like, we're all familiar with the monolith scene and the
Yes.
apes, but instead it's
Barbie.
in the beginning, little girls only had baby dolls to play with because they wanted to be mothers. Then Barbie arrived, and you see like it goes through this montage. Barbie comes down, and then they start smashing the dolls. Heads on
Is any of
rocks.
that factually correct? Probably not from what I hear, but it definitely makes a good
I want you to
intro.
understand that I laugh because the visual is almost uncomfortable because that's the opening to the film.
Yes. and I
It's
can
about as subtle
understand.
as a dump truck, and they start bashing the baby dolls, breaking their heads and breaking their tea sets to play with Barbie.
Yes, that's definitely a horrible tone setter for the movie, for the people of a right-wing perspective. That would definitely set them on
I
edge
think that
from
would
the start.
offset anybody, and I think I heard some nervous laughter in the theater.
I think it's funny if you sort of get the humor of it, but you have to go in realizing it's a comedy. If you don't, it's going to be a horrible tone setter for you.
Oh yeah,
Especially
if that
lean
was
right.
your first inclination, I'm like, so it's a little bit of satire, but it was almost Velma cringe. But
Yeah, I think I don't unintentionally sort of got into the Velma territory. I told Gray that myself. I'm like, oh, this is going to be another Velma where everyone's going to say it's woke, but we'll see. The problem with woke is, it's starting to it's starting to lose its utility.
it has no potency. I have a different way because I think is the idea the film is laced with some ideology. we'll probably can't like if he doesn't bring it up, we'll bring it up later because it is definitely a tainted well, so to speak.
Yeah, I can understand certain perspectives
And
on that.
the
I
scene
have my own
he's
theory.
the scene he's referencing is the beach off scene. Yeah, it's not the implications, like, but it doesn't. The film doesn't show it, so it's like I don't look at that as valid criticism while people are hating on the film. I think most of the dislike I've seen from the film comes from the way they presented the subject matter.
Well, I
Oh.
can't disagree at the moment. I made Shoe on Head's boyfriend, Esquire guy, saying he said Barbie is a conservative movie, which is just hilarious. It has some overlaps with, ironically enough, the hero's journey, but I consider it sort of a work of absurdist theater of the absurd, which has the same sort of arc as the hero's journey.
I can expound more on that. There's a valid seed, but I thought wasn't Shoe on Head dating Armored Skeptic?
Previously, now she's dating some other weird post liberal conservative. She likes the conservative guys, definitely. That's a little weird. Not that Armor Skeptic might be too liberal, too cuck for Shoe on Head nowadays. You know, a strong Bernie bro girl like Shoe on Head.
I feel like sometimes I get I have a hard time looking up YouTube nowadays. Sometimes I get flashbacks.
Back to the ad apocalypse. You know, everyone was losing their. Sorry about that.
It's not even the adpocalypse. I mean, I made a joke on stream with Dane and when he was in one the other day. I said, you and somebody in Dane, you would have not survived the commentary community prior to 14.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that to me. I don't think they would have survived it as of 2016 even. But 2014, definitely not. I mean, it started going downhill 2016.
We all remember the dark. It was dark times, but
It was. We lost Mundane Matt. Not that I ever cared about him.
we lost. But you know,
Lost the vibe.
Leafy was ahead of his time.
Leafy is a mixed bag. I admire him in some regards. Other regards, he definitely did have an interesting effect on YouTube. I will say his presence was
Let's put it this
slightly
way.
Positive, despite
Let's put it this
bullying
way:
children.
Leafy was the canary in the coal mine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He definitely was one of those things to end the end times. We could probably go on about how that's all turned out.
We have to sometimes do we have to do a stream sometime about the nostalgia
all of the commentary community.
I feel like it's a lesson lost to history.
I'd have to go through and check out the timeline. But yeah, I agree. That might be a worthy endeavor at some point.
Dare we invoke the Onion Man?
Let's not get too much off track here. Eric.
There's a word for that. But we are going to watch, like I said, we're going to watch some videos here about the Marvels first. We got 2 videos about the Marvels to watch, and then we're going to do the Mortal Kombat video. So, yeah, let me see something here. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, just want to talk about this Barbie stuff first. I thought it was quite interesting. The movie's doing so well, considering so many people are mad about it. All right. Are we ready to watch some videos? I'm just going to trigger warn people. Some of these videos are going to be a bit much, but let's see what they say. Let's go with...
Why do you have to have a trigger warning?
It's actually, I've seen actual research that says trigger warning is actually detrimental to people. It will put them on edge. It's sort of setting the stage. People will be more offended if you give them a trigger warning ahead of time. I think this is actual research.
Is it like actual research, or is it like the radio jocks of old where you use the theater or the mind?
As crazy as Aiden Paladin is, generally on her straight videos, it set aside some of her more colorful commentary research wise, and that's where I believe I saw the research about trigger warnings will actually put people on edge. Sometimes you might want to, if you just wanted to say, I think trigger warnings are just set people on edge. It's been too long.
I know that's one of those things. I would view it as I think in a traditional sense, I'll say this. And it's not that I see this and I see this in Dainstream. You can't use certain words. You know, don't want to dare invoke Hollywood. Couldn't even with Snow White with the new. They are now Snow White in the Seven Thieves, according to the actor. So thank you. I'm blanking on the guy's name right now. The guy who played the Lannister screwed it for short people in Hollywood.
Oh, okay. I know who you're
Peter
talking
Dinklage.
about. Yep. That does seem to be the case. Him sort of, I don't even know what he was trying to do with that. People are like, dude, why are you doing this? You're virtue signaling and sort of pulling up the ladder on your fellow little people for some reason.
I think Dan Aykroyd was accused of that at one time, like doing a film, and it's like, oh, I'll pull up the ladder. What? You know what's funny? Of the base dwarf community, probably, you know, what is it? God, the one that played Mini Me and the one that played Mini Me was very vocal about it as well. But he was like, why it's not discrimination. And then the one that plays Hornswoggle says it's bullshit too.
Yeah, and basically all the Oompa Loompas in the new Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was just one guy, from what I remember.
One guy,
Yep.
duplicated. I can also understand the sensitivity of the time. You can't quite do what Wizard of Oz did, even though they lived like 100 years. Would you think I was joking?
Well, I'm thinking tortoise. They go slow. No, let me not do that.
No, they really, the last one, like they were almost like 90 or like they would have a cast reunion. But yeah, you get the point. It's pulling up the ladder behind you is a weird argument.
Yeah, that whole shit is weird.
But that's why I say.
So this one is from.
No, I'll say this when we continue. That's why I say trigger warnings are weird. Preference.
They are.
It's like Keemstar. Oh, red alert, news alert.
Yeah, I'm sure that does the same sort of effect. You know, in nightly news. 5 deadly foods that you might not know about it. They do this at 6 o'clock. They're like, at news at 11. You're like, what the hell? Why not just tell me now if they're dangerous? Because they're not really dangerous. They're just going to make a stupid argument. They're trying to get you to watch out of fear. Trigger warnings aren't that, but it's sort of the same principle from what I know about.
But it's also could be because they are that sensitive. Like you think there are the weird people who are triggered by a YouTube comment section.
Oh, absolutely. And creators who are triggered by anyone who comments something negative in their comment section. And
I have actually seen a recent trend, strangely enough, and I do not understand this. Maybe you can help me out, Vincent, or somebody who watches this. YouTube recommended a video to a content creator I like. Said person watches that video, leaves a nasty comment. The guy's voice irks me after 30 seconds. And then another guy, he did a thing covering the Barbie film, and he goes, well, who recommended this beta content to me? And people were like, dude, why'd you watch it?
They're self-entitled. Coddling of the American mind. I'm trying to think of who wrote that.
So you're a victim of the algorithm, and then you feel the need to announce your departure. It's like the people saying, oh, great video. I followed you for years. I'm unsubscribing from you.
Yeah, same thing. Also, I see the same thing of people being like, great video, subbing, but in the other direction. People feel the need to announce certain things. I mean, sometimes I will be like, I really like this, so I am subscribing. So the creator, but I'll go into more
But as I
detail with
state,
that.
this has been a recent thing. I'm guessing usually if I don't like a video, I don't click on the video if I don't see it in my recommendations.
If I take a chance on it, watch it for a bit, don't like it, maybe I'll dislike it and leave. If it's something that I vehemently disagree with, sometimes I'll be like, okay, I don't like this, this, and this. But I'll never just be like, oh, why did this get recommended to me? And that sort of self-entitled, like YouTube's supposed to curate. But also we have the streamer generation with the React streamers who sort of show YouTube videos to their audience. I think there's an argument to be made. I think someone in the Hassan one of the defenders of Hassan made that argument that, some people are just too lazy to pick out their own YouTube video, so Hassan has to do it for them, and some really broken logic to explain away his misuse of.
That should be a subject matter all to itself because
Okay.
I'm just saying we could get too sidetracked. So much I would like to do that doesn't fit in. But I can never live being pure reactionary.
Yeah, it's just reacting badly to everything. I always do videos to counterbalance. Well, I probably don't do enough to counterbalance some of my sort of reaction takes, but let's get through this.